What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Let's talk about these Thunder. All right. Last night they played the Phoenix Suns. They were able to hold on to a 123 to 119 victory over the Phoenix Suns. The Thunder are now 19-1, and yet the mainstream media is not talking about them. You know what's so interesting about this? Is that I definitely recall when the Warriors won their first 24 games of the 2015-16 season. It was all the rage. It was all the talk. Curry mania was going on. All you heard was Steph Curry, Steph Curry, Steph Curry, Steph Curry on mainstream media, right? When the Chicago Bulls won 72 games back in 1995-96, when the Bulls start off the season 41-3, they were the rage. Now, at one point in time, I know people forget this, the Bulls are like 5-2 to start the season. They were 5-2, so they already had more losses at this point in time than the Thunder. But then they just racked off like an 18-game winning streak, and then like a 17-game winning streak or something like that, and it was just history made after that. So, but in comparison, there's very little noise for the OKC Thunder. And it'd be one thing if, say, they hadn't just won a championship. Then I can kind of understand, like, okay, well, people think this is just a fluke. A lot of people think Detroit is a fluke. They lost 2 games in a row, even though they still got the best record in the Eastern Conference. I think they're 15-4. But they're still a really good team. They're young. I don't think they're going to win a championship, but it's a solid improvement from what they were 2 years ago when they were, 14-68? But anyway, Shai and these boys are 19-1. They're on pace to win. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but they're on pace to win 78 games, which would smash the NBA record, obviously, right? I don't know if they're going to win 78 games, but 70 is definitely a possibility, the way that they're going right now. 70 is definitely a possibility. The record is a remote possibility. When I say remote, because to be honest with you, the NBA competition is, to me, a lot more stiff than it was 10 years ago when the Warriors did what they did, right? So Shai is having an MVP level season just from the numbers. 32.9 points per game. I think that's second in scoring, or I think it's either second or third. I think it's third behind Luka and Tyrese Maxey. 4.9 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 1.6 steals, 0.8 blocks. He's shooting 54.4% from the field. He's now shooting 42.3% from three-point range and 89.1% from the free throw line, despite the fact people like to call him a free throw merchant. Shai has never led the NBA in free throw attempts, but he's a great free throw shooter who shoots in volume. So what haters do and what the racists will do is to take what you do good and somehow turn it into a bad thing. Last night marked the return of Jalen Williams to the lineup, and he was, as to be expected. He was rusty. He was spotty offensively, but they got the W, so that's what really matters. All right. Somehow it doesn't matter now, though, when it comes to the casuals. Winning all of a sudden doesn't matter. It's stats. But and this goes to show you how race plays a role in these things. I don't care what people say. A few years ago, when Russell Westbrook was averaging triple-double, so that was about 9 years ago, right? The first time he did it, when he won the MVP. People said, well, look, man, how can you get this guy the MVP and they're only the 6th seed? How can you give this guy the MVP based off of stats? Now, mind you, Russ didn't really have anybody playing with him on that team other than Andre Roberson and I think Victor Oladipo, who's not going to the Hall of Fame anytime soon, right? So stats, people say, wasn't enough to give him the MVP, but apparently stats is enough to give Jokic the MVP. Now, Denver's what, the third or fourth seed in the West? Okay, that's not that far ahead. I mean, it is, but then again, it's not considering that he has Jamal Murray on the team. You know, he has all these other guys that can score and shoot on the team. Russ didn't have that. But Russ wasn't supposed to win the MVP 9 years ago, but Jokic does because he's putting up quote unquote historic stats, which doesn't make any sense because we've already had two other players average triple double. Oh, but we never had a white guy do it before. Oh yeah, I'm talking that talk because there's definitely a racial bias here. I'm calling it out. Shai leads the NBA in win shares, 5.5 win shares. He leads the NBA in defensive win shares. He plays the game at a high level on both ends of the floor. And they have a historically great record. I don't get what the argument is right now when it comes to the MVP. I mean, if you want to turn Nikola Jokic into the Aaron Rodgers of the NBA, fine. Of the NBA, fine. A guy that wins all these MVP awards but only has one championship. So that makes him worse than Wilt Chamberlain. Because Wilt at least went against super teams. And that's my argument for him why he didn't win enough, but people don't want to hear that. But yet Jokic gets to put up stats and only go to one finals and I'm supposed to put him ahead of Wilt? Kiss my ass. No, I don't work like that. But anyway, shout out to the Thunder on pace to win 78 games. As I said, another stat I want to put out there. So far this year, they have a team defensive rating of 104.6. 104.6. The second team is Miami at 110.2. The Pistons are third at 110.7. So the gap between them and the second place team is astronomical. They're still beating teams. They have a number one defense as far as the points yielded and defensive rating. They have a great offense. They're like top 4 or 5 offensively. Well, top 3 or 4 offensively in the NBA. They're winning games by an average of about 16 points a game. 16 points a game. Unbelievable, man. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.